Hello again. Today I'll be taking insectoid worship to the next level in Rimworld by creating a custom xenotype, the carriers of which I'm simply calling hybrids, which brings your average human rather a lot more in line with the insects that they'll be worshipping. For starters, they're not great to look at and they aren't big fans of the sun. They can make insects around them fight harder, they're the same colour as and bleed like insects. Oh, and did I mention that they procreate by implanting their eggs into unwilling victims?
What? 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 What?
Welcome to Skitter Cave, which I think it's safe to say will be a very Rimworldy place to live. This looks like a decent place to set up, with nearby access to a pair of Helixian geysers and plenty of mountainside to live in. So meet our three starting hybrids. Yuri, a pretty general guy skilled in mining, cooking and crafting. Tina, our super immune wimp who's good at construction. And then there's Lorenz, who's the colony's leader by default owing to his being a psycaster. And that's thanks to our ideology, of course, which features insect worship, naturally, but also a psychic focus, which dictates that the colony's leader should simply be the strongest psycaster. So what's our goal here, anyway? Well, I want a load of tamed insects and I want to be able to use them for nefarious purposes. Is that so bad? Let's get to it. Whilst I've been talking, the hybrids have been burrowing a little into their new home, quickly trying to make some bedrooms, a fungus farming zone and basic crafting capabilities. Lorenz, being the needy leader of the bug squad, is generally just very upset. We've given him a scary insect mass to placate him a little, but it's gonna take a bit more than that. This is why ideologians with forced leaders can be really annoying early game. Perhaps stabbing a squirrel to death with his box cutter will help lift his mood. But surprisingly though, it's actually Tina who has a mental break first. I had forgotten to build any recreation, so she decided to go for a walk. Outside. In the sun. Which she hates. It's fine, a sad wander isn't a big deal, and in any case, she's not too sad to get into bed with Yuri. The two are immediately in a relationship, and since the ideologian is set to allow it, they'll get straight to work keeping each other's moods permanently high. But not making babies. Hybrids are sterile. Well, that's what the gene is called, but I choose to believe that their genitals are just vestigial since they've developed their own unique means for reproducing. Speaking of which, a lone naked waster has arrived intending to assault the colony. Tina and Lorenz wait in the entrance of their home, revolver and blade in hand, and once poor Raz's scalp has been put on the floor, Lorenz will patch his wounds whilst a small holding cell is dug out for him. And then we'll make him seriously regret coming here. Razcalp, you've been oviposited. Over the next few weeks, a hybrid child will develop inside of you. And then, well, you've seen Alien, right? After all that fuss, it's Lorenz's turn to have a minor breakdown. He's in a daze because his lofty needs aren't currently being met. Perhaps we can cheer him up with shinies. I know that always works on me. So we'll make the questionable move of selling some of our components and medicine in order to buy him an Eltex sword. Swapping from his little box cutter to this fine weapon will boost his already incredibly high psi sensitivity even further, which he's not currently making use of, but we'll get to that later. He's also not currently performing his other main task, which is researching. Both of these things require further digging, which takes time. Unlike putting down another waster, which is near instant. I won't overposit this one though. The current host is enough of a handful already, and I don't want to immediately flood the colony with hungry babies. We can barely feed ourselves right now. At least this mad muffalo will help to feed the colony, even if it did beat up Yuri a bit. Alright, moving on a little. The eggs are progressing and Lorenz has a little insect statue to sit and meditate at. But even with his enhanced psi sensitivity, it'll be a little while before he gets any of the really nasty psycasts. So, pop goes Razcalp's chest and out comes little Mecca, our little baby hybrid. Technically Lorenz's daughter, but since the birthing process isn't quite so direct as usual and there's no lactating mother, the whole hive will sort of share the childcare. Anyway, we've got a quest to take on 3 manhunter tortoises for an Eltex shirt, which of course I want for Lorenz. The tortoises arrive and, hilariously, one of them bites off Yuri's toe. If you let that happen in combat with a tortoise, then it's entirely on you, Yuri. So Lorenz gets his shirt and then yet another lone waster shows up. These guys really don't like us. By this point though, we've run out of ammo for the revolver, so it's just up to Lorenz and Yuri, who manage just fine, to be honest. As ever, it's tempting to use Niklas here as a hatchery, but we're not ready. Actually, struggling to feed little Mecca as it is, having to resort to foraging berries to make baby food with in the absence of a healthy flow of fungus. We have finally dug out a hole for Lorenz to research in, and he's clearly desperate to get to it, standing at the desk furiously researching machining whilst Yuri builds a chair directly under his ass. And rather kindly, the Orange Empire, who I suppose are just the Dutch, want to give us an advanced component for withstanding the most fearsome of weather conditions. Foggy rain. However will we pull through? During the foggy, rainy season, we'll make a bow and some arrows so that Tina can go out hunting to keep the colony fed. And shortly after, they want to give us another advanced component and some silver for building the tiniest little monument for them. Alright, with gunsmithing finished, we can turn to gas extraction to make use of the vast quantities of Helixian for power and all of the other good stuff that you use it for. We can also start to dig out a workshop and throw a loading bench in there real quick to resupply our revolver. The chitinous powers that watch over us all are very pleased with the colony's development so far and drop 33 medicine from the sky in cargo pods. Very good. And with gas extraction completed, I've already started work on enclosing the nearest geyser and started to plan a generator room. But before that finishes, a crash pod lands, and out pops Clem from the Conqueror group. She's a hybrid, like us, so we'll take her in. She's nothing special in terms of skills or traits, but I think she'd make a good insect herder. As the colony and its access to technologies grows, it's time we moved our mushroom farm deeper into the mountain and set up a more logical flow for food production. But the next tech to finish is microelectronics, which means the research lab needs extending out. And yeah, the advanced bench would fit as it is, but it wouldn't be symmetrical, which is apparently sometimes, but far from always, important to me. A pair of angry wasters arrive, both carrying tox grenades, no big deal. Tina and her revolver make a pretty easy job of it. Oh, and Clem was already recruited, by the way, thanks to an inspiration. Now though, the impids arrive. I hate impids. But anyway, we meet them out front and Lorenz puts them into darkness. He skips into range and is immediately set on fire, leaving Tina and Clem to do most of the work from range before Yuri finishes one off with his box cutter, causing the last of the group to flee. Lorenz did go down, but he's fine anyway. Where's his sword, though? Oh, Jesus, one of the bastards almost made off with it. That would have been a tale for the ages. We'll be having that back now, thanks. With that problem dealt with, whilst we're making some mild progress on the base, a child suffering from paralytic aphasia falls from the sky. Allegedly Tina's daughter. And I don't really want to take her in because food is already a struggle, but I also don't want Tina to be upset about her daughter dying. So since she's from a neutral faction, I decided to rescue her. Everyone should be happy that way. I put her on the floor in the generator room and forgot about her, moving on to other things. Like playing this video's sponsor, War Thunder, which features more than 2,000 tanks, planes, helicopters and ships. All those vehicles are ridiculously detailed, so you can decide exactly how you want to end your opponent's whole career. Whether you're a wereaboo that just wants to sit your panther in a bush and snipe, or fly supersonic jets around flinging air-to-air missiles at people. Similarly, it doesn't matter whether you just want to point the mouse and watch the pretty explosions, or get ridiculously immersed in the simulation with your expensive flight sim setup. The graphics and sound design are both absolutely top-notch too. All this together makes War Thunder the most comprehensive vehicle game out there. I've actually personally played it for well over 1,000 hours, and believe it or not, my most played tech tree is America for some reason. So, play War Thunder now for free, whether you're on PC, PlayStation or Xbox, and use my link from the pinned comment or description below to get yourself a big old bonus pack. America! Now, where were we? Ah right, yes, little Mecca is a child, capable of hauling all kinds of things around. Like this meat. Yes, she's under there. And now she's under that meal. There she is. I'm not sure yet exactly what she'll become, but for now, hauling and cleaning is more than useful enough. Whatever she is or will be, she needs a bedroom, and the colony could use a proper rec room too, if we're already digging. But the Conqueror group are here again, with 2 raiders, one of whom is a Taukai, a wretched xenotype that constantly grows new tumours and can spend them for temporary buffs. I'm not entirely sure that's a trade-off I'd personally take. But I actually think that running a colony of these accursed things could be quite fun. Let me know what you think in the comments, and maybe it'll go onto my ever-growing list of video concepts. In any case, this particular accursed being is being annoying. by ignoring the front door of the colony and instead running around to the back, where I have a single piece of smoothed stone wall poking out from the mountain. So I sent Lorenz and Tina to go sort him out, putting him out of what I can only assume is a life of misery. It's probably time now that we made Tina the colony's moral guide, as not having one is souring everyone's mood and she has a high social skill. Also, though that revolver has served Tina very well, I think it's time we made some guns. A machine pistol for Tina, which might actually be a downgrade, I'm not sure, and a pump shotgun for Clem, who doesn't have much shooting skill, but I doubt that'll matter. Let's find out. Here are some impids. Nope, doesn't matter. Shotguns in early game combat extended are incredibly powerful. I love it. We'll take one of them prisoner. We'll snav. And the game warns me that they're unwavering. Silly Rimworld. I don't want to recruit them. I just want to use their body as a nursery. And this time, since we've got ample medicine to go around, I'll remove their legs just to make this process smoother. In case you're wondering how Lorenz's psi powers are progressing, he's almost at the top of the Night Stalker tree, where he'll unlock the Assassinate power, which sounds fun. But after that, it'll be time to grab the old reliable Mend, so we never need to worry about worn-out gear again. Our tribal friends from the Veeam Alliance are here now to demonstrate the latest revolutionary pest control technique. It's called throwing a pipe bomb at an angry horse in melee range. And honestly, I don't think it's going to catch on. But I thought the same about skin fade haircuts, and here we are. Where were we again? Oh yeah, insect worship. It's about time we started strip mining for things like plasteel, gold, and components so we can break into deeper technologies and equipment. Oh shit, remember that young girl named Jova that I put in the generator room a while ago? Well, it turns out generators are quite hot, and she died. Whoops. Anyway, Tina is happy enough about being married and having lots of sex to offset the death of her daughter, so it's fine, I guess. In fact, she's happy enough to be inspired creatively, a feeling I can only wish for. I had her make a large wooden statue for the temple and it came out excellent quality. It depicts Lorenz gazing into the distance, glowing softly, surrounded by voles. Just looks like a spellipede to me. Our current hatchery, whose name I'm not going to try a second time, is about ready to burst, and sure enough, out comes little baby Harparker, who's red. Interesting. It turns out the implanted child also inherits some of the host's genes. That's good information to have, and as a result, little Harparker is a little bit impid. Neat. A combat supplier arrives with some very shiny stuff, but we can't afford any of it, which means we need some method for generating cash, which will almost certainly, at least initially, be good old reliable psychoid. What little silver we do have I'm beaming up to an exotic goods ship in return for some advanced components and gold, which just leaves us lacking plasteel for a multi-analyzer. And hello, what's this? A simple monument quest for a neuroformer. Well, I don't mind if I do. A very short while later, Tina finishes off the building and pops the Psi-Link right into her head. I'm going to be sending her straight along the protector tree towards regrow limbs, another extremely valuable Psycast. But the Wasters are back again. Quite a few of them. And they've got guns and even some half-decent armor this time. However, counterpoint, we have a Lorenz, who can perform a ninja multi-hit combo against anyone who's in darkness, anywhere on the map. This Psycast is balanced out at least a little by the fact that it builds a massive amount of neural heat, so he can only cast it twice in quick succession right now, leaving the rest of the raiders to the gang with their more conventional weapons, which are proving perfectly adequate so far. But after that raid, I zoom out and think about longer-term defense. This space has two ways in right now. If we wall one of them off, then we can make a rudimentary kill zone. I also figure it would be a good idea to have an actual hospital at this point. The gang have been here for just a little over 100 days now, and things are going well. My only criticism so far is that it's not, well, insecty enough. We'll get there soon though. We've got the beginnings of that kill zone in construction and a small hydroponics operation underway thanks to the gas-powered sun lamp. But now, you might remember some time ago Yuri lost one of his toes to a tortoise, and we all pointed and laughed at him for it, but no longer must he suffer, for Tina has acquired the secret knowledge. She casts her spell on him and he enters a short coma whilst the toe grows back, since it's probably not something you'd want to be awake to experience. Alright, that kill zone is becoming functional now, in case you wondered what armor-penetrating 7.62 NATO rounds do to a turkey. The ground is still being flattened to prevent trees and bushes growing there, but you get the point. Raiders come through the door and turrets start blasting. Little Harparker the Red Hybrid has become a child and can help out now with the cleaning and hauling, so it's probably about time we laid some more eggs. And would you look at that? Some weirdos from the Conqueror group have arrived. Once they've met the turrets, those not crippled are running away. So Lorenz grabs Piotr, who's actually a hybrid himself and probably knows what's coming. I doubt that makes it any less horrific. So whilst Piotr is cooking up a fresh batch for the hive, a bulk goods ship is overhead, and is willing to finally sell us the plasteel we need to make that multi-analyzer to research fabrication. Which is most welcome, because as usual, components on the map are drying up. Over here to the left of the Killzone is the new strip mine, which I thought I was being very clever with by leaving an open tunnel to the outside in, meaning if there were an infestation that was hostile, it'd have to come out and through the maze, hopefully giving us time to find a good solution to the problem of being eaten by the very beasts we worship. However, I clearly didn't fully consider the ramifications of this tunnel, because a group of man-hunting panthers arrived. I watched them run into the maze and get shot by the turrets before doing an about-face and tearing ass down the mineshaft to get at Yuri, who is effectively now outside the safety of the colony's walls. Luckily for Yuri, mines are dark, which means Lorenz can teleport in there to save his ass. But okay, lesson learned. No mining during hostile events. In other news, a little meteor of Eltex has dropped onto the corner of our map. Tina and Yuri will skitter out and harvest this bounty like human leafcutter ant hybrids, carrying home the raw materials required to outfit our psychasters properly. Yuri is mesmerizing to watch right now. He's buffed by a work frenzy and work drive from Lorenz, pushing his mining speed up to 364%. Look at him go. He's going directly into a chunk of components, meaning we finally get to build a fabrication bench and start building our own. But another large gang of wasters from the Miasma boys are here. They're not that well armed, but there's enough of them that I get the gang to back the turrets up. Lorenz flinging icicles from back there probably helped out. All I can say for sure is that whilst they were dealing with that, the Orange Empire offered us 4 tech prints and over 200 plasteel to take care of 5 paralysed prisoners for them. Okay, sure, let's dig out a little room to fill with 5 of the least troublesome prisoners imaginable. But first, another beautiful birth. Lorenz swooped in and carried off Piotr's corpse before I could even pan the camera over there, but anyway, here's little baby Alvarado. And then I finally remembered about that Eltex, which we can somehow sew into a cape for Lorenz and a mask for Tina, since Lorenz would rather keep his steel insect mask over a magic-enhancing extremely valuable Eltex one. With this little hole excavated and 5 beds placed in it, we can take those prisoners now. I know they didn't strictly need beds, but whatever, it is what it is. Sometimes I'll just randomly sprinkle a few lonely particles of civility into my goulash of suffering in Rimworld. So, it's been a little while and they're sleeping soundly in their... Wait, what? One of them's awake. Right, of course, the genetically depressed fire demon has miraculously healed from their paralysis. But I don't remember the Orange Empire specifying how whole these prisoners had to be when returned. So... Right, with BB back in bed for good, some pigfolk have drop-podded right past our turrets and directly to the front door of the colony. Battle stations, everyone. This could be rough. Oh, never mind. Pigs are allegedly quite intelligent creatures. This, however, is not reflected in Rimworld. They gloriously seized defeat from the jaws of victory and made an abattoir of our Killzone. Despite seeing this behaviour, the prospect of an insect-pig hybrid is still quite attractive. So I took one in and had Lorenz do his oviposition dance all over it. Unfortunately for us, but fortunately for our captive, Clem is not a good surgeon, and managed to kill them in the peg-legging process. And finally, here come the mechanoids. I knew they'd show up eventually. A psychic suppressor has dropped a few map tiles away, capping all the men in the colony to 50% consciousness, so we'll send a sleepy Lorenz over there to deal with the problem in a moment, but I want him to learn Chain Lightning first, for obvious reasons. Before he leaves, we'll buy this gene pack from an exotic goods ship that contains unstoppable, reduced pain, strong cooking, and furry tail. That's a strong set of genes right there if you can feed the recipient's runaway metabolism. Anyway, right, off goes Lorenz to deal with those mechanoids, which occurs in the usual manner. The one where he sneaks up and smashes the psychic suppressor to bits before running away under light charge fire. Sometime later, toxic fallout blankets the area, which isn't really a huge issue when you live in a cave, but it will kill all of the local fauna. Luckily then, Lorenz already did that earlier with chain lightning. The gang of chitinous hybrids are tucked safely away from the toxic ash in their tunnels, and they're making a gene lab down there. If only we had a ready stock of genetic material somewhere around here. So, in goes BB the legless Ifrit to donate some genes to our cause. Oh, demon wings. Very nice. Sadly, we finished the gene lab too late to harvest the rest of the prisoners, because it's time for them to be shuttled away back to their Dutch captors. Verstappen has arrived in his RB-38 to pick them up. What a fantastic quest that was. Truly one of the best. This mech cluster, on the other hand, is less good. I don't think we're quite capable of dealing with that right now. So it's at this point that the hybrids enter an extended period of lockdown. There's not really much good reason to go outside anyway, and now it comes with the risk of catching a charge round. So inside they remain. But as many of us found out a few years ago, when you're stuck inside, you tend to get a little weird. The result is Clem working at the gene assembler to make an implantable xenogerm for Lorenz. What genes is he getting? He's getting the wings, of course, which once he's woken up from the implantation coma, allow him to glide over terrain, ignoring movement penalties, as well as giving him a little jump ability. Neat. The toxic fallout finally settles and the area is left almost entirely dead and brown. But not all is dead. Something stirs in the strip mine. Our gods are waking up. Which means it's finally time for Clem to take up the mantle of insect herder. We'll need to mine an area in which our tamed insects can live. With that mostly done, Clem sneaks to the boundary of the ever-growing infestation to tame a mega spider, which thankfully she can do at a distance and with guaranteed success. Back in its hole, she can start training it to fight for her. But like a young girl with a puppy, before too long she wants another. A megapede this time. Which sadly aren't trainable. In fact, none of the other large insects are, so it's just going to be mega spiders from here on in. For the next few weeks, Clem repeatedly slinks into the mines and each time returns with a new friend. But it's been too long since we made a new friend through parasitic implantation. So I'm sorry, Tonio. I know we're not currently your enemy, but we will be very shortly. Alright, we've got 6 mega spiders and they're all attack trained. Let's see how they handle that mech cluster. Oh. The answer, it turns out, is very well. But perhaps they've run out of ammo. The mechanoids, though, are the least of the colony's worries. Look at that infestation, still growing outwards, completely unchecked. It's only a matter of time before something makes them angry, and I doubt worshipping them whilst they slaughter everyone will help. Regardless, we do actually have to worry about the mechanoids, because even more of them have just landed, and this time they actually fight back. The mega spiders soak up fire nicely whilst Lorenz stands back yeeting lightning bolts. Clem drags her brood home and mends their wounds, ready for the next fight. Tonio has popped open and revealed little baby Chit. Also, I've painted a crude effigy of an insect on the floor of the insect room in a tasteful, if slightly resemblant of turd, shade of brown. Perhaps this will pacify the angry and ever-growing horde of stabby bugs in our mine. Yet another mech cluster lands, making the area foggy, which isn't enormously threatening, but I still want it gone. So I realise that I can have Lorenz remotely assassinate the cluster's guards by casting the area in magical darkness. Or rather, I could if he had a weapon capable of harming them. Well, we do have an ancient danger on the map, and sometimes they contain ultra-tech melee weapons. So let's go give that a poke. Oh dear. Angry bugs. The gang aren't going to be happy about what happens next. Also, there's nothing good in here anyway. Maybe the people in the pods will have something. Wait, what's that ominous skittering sound? Oh dear. When the bugs from the ancient danger got angry, it appears they telepathically informed the infestation of Lorenz's transgressions, and they're responding in kind, flooding into the colony. And poor Lorenz himself is trapped outside. With no side juice left to skip himself home, he's forced to face the wrath of those he worships head on. The result being his unceremonious death. Clem can take her little brood and hold the tunnel into the base for some time, but insects are capable of mining, and quickly find another way in, detonating the generator room before rushing into the halls of the colony. The kids have all been hidden away with Mecca in the classroom like American school kids. Meanwhile, Yuri is just trying to enjoy a good supper. Anyway, the bugs have actually finished their little raid and returned home. I suppose the colony could probably be continued from here, but I prefer the version of this tale where the remaining colonists feed themselves willingly to the insect queen. So, let that be a lesson. Insects are much better at being insects than human-insect hybrids. Whatever you do, remain indoors. The infestation is still growing. Thank you for watching, and thanks to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. Click the link in the description or pinned comment below to grab all of this cool stuff. Until next time, goodbye.